Hello, I'm Heather,
And I'm Ryan,
and this is the Politics Free Podcast,
where you can come for a short time each week to get away from the madness of the world.
while we carry on as though nothing important or noteworthy is happening.
So join us for some conversation.
Some silliness.
And a game.
While we attempt to put you in a better mood by the end of the episode than you're in right now.
Welcome to our bubble.
Welcome to our bubble. Hello, Ryan.
Hello, Heather. Welcome to our bubble.
Thank you. Welcome to our bubble. I love how natural our openings are for these episodes. They do not sound robotic at all.
Never.
We sound good. So, topic of the week, Ryan's embarrassing story. Proceed, my friend.
Okay, so we just recently did a shutdown, which is basically we go to a plant and they shut down a certain section of it for us to replace some ductwork, right? So we were working 12-hour days and it was awesome, right? I told you about this. I was replacing the acid duct.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so we were sitting down at break and I was sitting there with these two women that I work with. One of them is an apprentice in the same class as me. And the other one is her name's Chelsea. She said I could use her name, but she thought this was hilarious, right? So anyway,
Okay.
so Chelsea is God, I lost my train of thought.
You were sitting there with them lunch break?
Yeah, it was during
Okay.
break. But yeah, so I don't work with Chelsea or the other girl very often.
Do you want to just call her Lucy so there's a name?
Yeah, so we'll call
Okay.
the other one Lucy.
Okay.
Lucy and Chelsea. So anyway, so Chelsea was telling us how she used to be in banking and she decided to get into the trades to get away from like the drama that was in there, right? And so she was like, yeah. And fat lot of good that did me because there's just as much drama in the trades. She's like, let me ask you something. She's like, have you ever seen a woman throw a tool? And I like leaned forward in all seriousness. I said, Chelsea, have you ever seen a woman with a tool? And as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. I'm like talking to two women who have tools. I work for a company that has a bunch of women that work for it. And I've been on so many job sites with like so many women, that it just was like my mind was in the banking industry, like white collar was where my mind was at with that statement, not blue collar. But like as soon as I was so freaking embarrassed and they thought it was hilarious, they both just laughed their asses off at me. And Chelsea was all like held up her hand. She's like, I can't even look at you right now.
I don't know why this made me think of this, but it's not an embarrassing story, but I have, like, as you may be familiar, some degree of anger issues.
Yes.
And I've gotten so much better about it over the years, but there's one circumstance in which I cannot contain my anger.
Mm-hmm.
And it is when somebody is an asshole to me, an aggressive, antagonistic, super huge douchebag. I will respond in kind. I cannot be calm. So here's what happened. I held myself in check to a degree.
Right.
To a degree. But I was taking a right turn out of a parking lot. I was driving. And there were two cars coming, but one of them was going to take a right turn like next to me. So I was like, okay, I'll pull out. I might have enough time. Well, I misjudged the speed of the driver behind the guy turning. So as I turn out, he's right up against me and he lays on his horn really aggressively. Like he just held down the horn. He did not let up. Like you don't need to do that. Just like boop, boop. I've realized that I made a mistake. You don't need to so he was so aggressive and like, I don't even know what this guy's problem was. We were 100 feet from a red light.
Yeah.
Right. It did not matter at all. And plus I was taking a left turn at the right light. And I found out in a few minutes, he was taking a right turn. It did not matter one iota that
Yeah.
I got in front of him, but he was so pissed off about it. I moved into the center turning lane just to let him by because I was like, well, obviously I've ruined this man's life
Yeah.
with this mistake of mine. So as he's driving by, he flips me the finger, and I was like, I was gonna let it go at the honking horn. I was gonna let it go and just let you drive by. And like, can you not recognize that I did something nice by moving over to let you go by? Because you were so. When does anybody do that? When does
Yeah.
anybody just be like, "Oh, you're mad at me? I'll just be nice." That doesn't happen. But I did it. But then he flipped me off, and I was like. So as I pulled up next to him to take I almost was like, I'm going to follow him wherever he goes and be an asshole. But
that reminds me of a story. Anyways, continue.
Anyways, my story's almost over anyway. I didn't do that. I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to roll up next to him and roll my window down I'm going to roll my window down.
Yeah.
And just be like, what did I say? Oh, because it was, by the time this episode releases, we're well past this, but it was Easter Sunday. So I just said, Happy Easter, motherfucker. I'm like, as he's taking his right turn. I don't think he heard me because his windows were up. I was just trying to get it loud, but he did not seem to care. And I was like, I was this close to just following him somewhere. And like, and when that happens, you play the scenario out in your head and you like act it out. Do you ever do that? I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow him wherever he's going. And when he pulls into wherever he's going to park, I'm going to park right next to him. And I'm going to get out of my car. And I'm going to be like, you know what, sir? I made a simple human mistake. Nobody was injured. That was a completely unnecessary reaction on your part. I was going to tell him, but I didn't. 20 years ago, I would have probably done that, but as a grown up,
so
kind of grown up.
You're 40. You're still a kid.
Thanks.
You're welcome. That actually reminds me of 3 stories.
I want to hear them.
Okay, awesome. So let's see. Let me start with the not so serious, or the more serious one. Okay, so.
Okay, little buddy, you tell me.
You can't do that.
You were just flipping me off for the last 5 minutes intentionally. I just explained that I don't like that.
I'm so sorry.
Go on.
So I was driving home from work. Yes, that's because we lived on the other side of town when this happened. So there's like a little on-ramp. So I was already on the highway at this point, and it's like pissing down rain. So I'm driving along, following the speed limit like a good little boy. Cars in front of me, and there's this on-ramp that we're coming up to, and I see 2 cars, starting to come up, and there was enough traffic where it was like didn't make sense for me to, like keep going at my speed. Otherwise, there would be like I would slow these people down, and then I'd slow down the people behind. Or slow these people down. So I just kind of eased off to allow them to come in. And then like out of nowhere, this car on the left, just like flies past me, swerves into my lane, like misses me by like an inch. She was so freaking close. Like, and I had to slam on my brakes. The cars that were coming, one guy had to veer off onto the shoulder to like avoid getting like sideswiped by this woman or a girl, whatever. And the other person had to slam on their brakes. And so anyway, so she's just like flying forward. So I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like I was mad. Like I was like really fucking mad. Right. And so I'm driving along. I was going to let it go. She ends up taking the same exit as me. And I'm like, the more I saw her car, the like angrier it's getting. Right. So I take my exit and I'm driving along. She takes an exit that I wasn't even planning on taking. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this woman a piece of my mind. So I take the exit.
God.
And so she turns onto the next street and then pulls into this little shopping center and pulls outside of a Petco, right? So I pull up behind her and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's like this like teenage girl. She was probably like 16 years old. And she's like, huh, like taken off guard. She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, do you even realize what you just fucking did? You cut me off and missed me by an inch, and you made another car veer off the highway, and you made another car slam on their brakes to avoid hitting the guy in front of him, and then you just went on your merry fucking way. Just like going off on her, right? And I was like, there's more fucking people in this world than just little old you. And so like I was just like going, like I just like laid into this girl, and she was like, she just starts fucking bawling, right?
Oh, God.
And I was like, oh fuck. And I'm like already like beat red. I'm fucking pissed. And this random lady like comes up to me. She's like, what's going on? Just, you really need to take a step back and calm down. I was like, I am fucking calm.
Can I just say the literal worst thing to say to a person who is spazzing out is calm down.
Yeah,
it has
I agree.
helped never. That is a statistical guarantee. It will not help.
Yeah.
It will not make them calm down. Just stop. Don't. If that's your first impulse, just stop. Just
especially if they are fairly calm. Like if you know what they're like when they're not calm and they're nowhere near that, and you tell them to calm down, you will make them go the opposite direction.
Yeah. Big stuff.
But anyway, so
go on.
this lady kind of like, she was just like, you just really need to just like, she was like being real, like she like, this woman like was able to like stay calm with me freaking out, right? And so I was just like, yeah, I just want to get home to my wife and my children, and this little fucking shit wants to run people off the fucking freeway. So she was just like, I think you need to get in your car and just drive away. Just drive away, sir. Please. Just do yourself a favor. Just drive away. And I was like, okay.
I think she's right.
Yeah,
she's right. This lady's right.
And so I was like, oh, fine. She's like, you made your point. You can see that she's very upset at this point. Just drive away. And so I was like, okay, all right, fine. Storm off to the car, get in the car, back up. And this girl is just like, like on the phone. And he followed me and he yelled at me. I was just like,
really, the story makes you seem like the asshole.
I am 100%
Yes,
the asshole. No, 100% the asshole. Like
oh God.
I mean, like you, I have anger issues, but I have gotten a lot better over time. I believe that I think the kids were like 3 and newborn at the time. So, I mean, you know, this was a long time ago. And I don't know what, I just snapped in that moment, you know? But anyway, so there was that one. And then,
you know what? At the end of the day, maybe she'll pay a little more attention when she's driving after that. Maybe, maybe something good came out of that.
I'm sure she will probably never do that again. She'll remember that one time that fucking psycho followed her and fucking laid into her. Oh, geez.
You know what? I was in a parking lot one time, and it was a grocery store, and I had just pulled into the parking lot, and somebody was pulling out of a parking spot up front, right? Like really close. I was like, ooh, goody. So I sat there, waited, and I turned my blinker on to be obnoxious. Like, I'm definitely waiting for this parking spot. Here I am waiting for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this car, the woman turns out of the parking spot. She hasn't even turned her steering wheel to drive off yet. She's still at something of an angle, and somebody zooms in from behind me, cuts her off, goes right in front of me, and takes the parking spot.
Ugh.
That I was clearly waiting for. It could not have been more obvious that I was waiting for this parking spot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I was just in a really super good mood in general that day, but all I did was give her a really scathing, dirty look when I walked past her. I was like, but I made a point of walking past her. I was like, I'm going to find my spot really quick so I can scathingly look at this woman. You bitch. I just looked at her like, daggers. I can't remember if she even noticed, but I felt better.
I had a similar situation where someone did that and they got out of their car and I waited there and I said, I was clearly waiting for that spot. My blinker is on. And she just shrugged and kept walking. And I was like, what do I?
Some people, man.
I guess I'll find another spot then.
I mean, what do you? I'm pissed off. The fact that I wasn't even there and she shrugged makes me want to punch her in her stupid face.
Yes.
And I don't even know who she is. I wasn't even there. What was your other story?
So this is when I lived in Oregon in a whole different city, and I was on my way home from work, I believe.
Mhm.
And so the freeway, as you're driving southbound on this freeway, there is a tunnel that runs right parallel with it. There's this tunnel on the side, and as that tunnel dumps out, it turns immediately into an on-ramp. And then that on-ramp immediately turns into an off-ramp to go onto a different freeway.
Right.
And so my intention was to get into the off-ramp and take the other freeway. So what happened was, as I was driving alongside this tunnel, a car was coming out of it just as I was like passing by it, right? So this woman comes out, and she's, a little bit behind me. She's got her blinker on, and I just keep going my speed. And so I was already going a little bit faster than her, and she speeds up to try and then get in front of me. And so it was weird, right? It just happened so fast. So she pulls up next to me, and like, I just didn't change my speed because I was about to brake and just let her go. And I look over, and she looks at me, and she makes eye contact, and she goes, mouths the word bitch. And I said, oh, really? So I kept at my speed. And so then she started to slow down to try and get over. And so I slowed down with her and eventually forced her to take the off ramp. And then I swerved over behind her so that I could take my exit. And so this off ramp, you literally have to travel, I think it's like 1.5 miles to 2 miles before you can find an exit to then turn around and then get back to the highway she was intending to go on.
I've done similar things when people annoy me driving. So did you have another story?
Yeah, one that happened fairly recently, but I was driving to work this time, and it was the wee hours of the morning, and it was dark. And so I'm driving along in my lane, minding my own business, and this semi truck who's hauling ass drives past me, but then throws on his blinker while I'm like in my lane. He's not even past me yet, and he starts to come into my lane. So forcing me to have to like swerve off of the road and into the shoulder, slow down, and then I ended up getting around him, and I sped up, and I just laid on my horn like, bah! And so of course this guy in the semi is like, whatever, dude. And so he just like lays on his horn. And so I'm just like, whatever. I drive forward, I get back into my lane, and he just like throws his brights on, and he's still laying on the horn, right? And I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. So I go back into my lane, or the middle lane, because he's all the way over at the right. I slow down, and I snapped a picture of the company on the side of his truck.
Did he see you doing that?
Yeah, because like the flash went off and everything, right? So I end up calling this company, and it goes to like a voicemail. So I was just like, hey, one of your drivers just almost ran me off the freeway and made me feel like the asshole, so I just left this like scathing voicemail. I got a call back immediately, and the guy's like, hey, you know what truck it was? And I was like, yeah, here's the license plate, and so he's like, and where was this? And I was like, the 205 southbound, kind of right around here. I was driving in my lane. He went to pass me, didn't make it all the way, started to merge into my lane, drove me off the freeway. So I explained the whole thing to him, right? And so he's like, okay. He's like, I'll call you back, right? So he calls me back. He's like, hey, so I just talked to the driver, and he said that he didn't see you there and didn't realize you were there, And so it was all an accident and he didn't mean to. I'm like, the dude laid on his horn and flashed his brights at me. And he was like, yeah, I talked to him about that too. And, he realized it wasn't the right way to handle things. And, maybe you probably shouldn't have laid on your horn. And I had been upfront about that. I told him what I did,
Yeah.
And so I was like, dude, like your dude fucking could have killed me. Like what happens if I wasn't paying attention and this dude just mauled into the side of my car? Like, I think you're taking this a little lightheartedly here. And so anyway, the dude was super, super nice. And he was just like, basically, I did what I was going to do and just deal with it. And I was just like, all right, whatever. Like, by the time I got off the phone, like, I didn't even care anymore.
Yeah, sure.
But, yeah, that was my third story. Not as funny as the other one.
We should have led with that one.
I should have led with that one. That was a letdown.
That's okay. Don't worry about that because now it's time for Podcast Gamers. So there's this little game, Do You Know Me, which we actually already played once in an episode that may or may not get released before this one. I don't know yet. But we're going to play it just me and Ryan. This is a game we played with Eli.
Okay.
But I thought I would just randomly select 5 cards.
Okay.
Here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And another 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This part's definitely staying in because it's riveting.
I love it.
Okay. Now, do you want to be the first victim or do you want me to be the first victim?
I'll be the first victim.
Okay. Do you want the card pile on the left or the card pile on the right?
Let's go with the left side.
All right.
Your left.
I have no idea.
Your left. Okay.
Yes, understood. I have no idea what is on these cards.
Okay.
So you just have to answer them honestly and elaborate if there's a yes answer. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Do you know your exact Instagram follower count?
I do not. And I don't think
I know mine.
I was going to say, I don't think it's yours. What, 0?
Yep, it's 0. I'm not on Instagram.
I think I have like less than 100 people that follow me. I don't use Instagram that often.
That's not that bad. I think I remember when I was on Instagram, I think there was like 15 people although that was back in like the early days when it was brand new and I didn't have it for long.
Let's see how many, I think I was being very generous with less than 100. TBH. How do I find out how many followers I have?
Doesn't it just say on your profile? On your homepage?
I have 162 followers, Heather.
Oh my God, you're popular. You're way more popular than me. I have 0. Okay. We made that joke already.
It's always been true, though.
What did I say? I already forgot.
That you're more popular than me?
No, I said you're more popular than me.
Oh, okay.
Question number 2.
Okay.
Have you kissed someone in the last 24 hours?
Yes. My wife.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Yes, my husband and both of my kids. I kiss them multiple times daily.
Oh, I kissed her this morning before I left.
Aw.
I woke her up. I was like, wake up. Wake up, woman. I love you. Mwah.
And she loved that, I'm sure.
No,
she was like, screw off.
She actually likes it when I wake her up in the morning.
Oh, she does? Yeah. Okay. If my husband did that to me, I would smack him in his face.
I actually
try. Be like, no.
To be totally honest, I actually try to avoid waking her up, especially now that she's working.
Oh, sure.
And so like I'm like super quiet and stealthy in the morning because she wakes up later than me. And then like sometimes I'll forget something in the bedroom. So like I'll be like sneaking in and then she'll wake up and be like, hi, babe. Like, how are you so chipper like that? Like if I were me, I'm like, you're being so loud.
I'm surprised you would even wake up for any of that. You're the heaviest sleeper I've ever known.
Well, for me, it's a little different these days. Like I am a heavy sleeper. So like middle of the night, no problem. I'll sleep through anything. But I naturally wake up super early. Like I will be up at like 5 a.m. just because I'm so used to like sleeping in for me is like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. So I do wake up fairly early without an alarm clock. It's pretty impressive.
I'm super impressed because that makes me the lazy one because 7:30 is my sleep in time. Okay. Question number 3.
Okay.
Have you hooked up with someone older than 30?
At this point, yes. Yes, I have.
We won't elaborate more on that question. Question 4. Do you know what TMZ stands for?
I should know this because Rebecca watches it. Something.
The Morning Zoo.
No, it's because they're the paparazzi people that do all the
Oh.
paparazzi stuff. I don't know what TMZ means.
What about ATM?
Automatic teller machine.
What about IBM?
Don't tell me this. Business monitor. So intelligent business monitor. I'm wrong.
I was going to say internal bowel movement, whatever. What does ABC stand for?
Already been chewed.
Let's find out what all these things stand for.
Is that all on one card?
Yes. You can't do a trivia question and then they don't put the answers on the cards. 30-mile zone, TMZ.
Really? Huh. I wonder how they came up with that name.
Okay. So it says, this is what the Google result says. This is from lamag.com. That abbreviation, which predates the obnoxious website and TV show, is shorthand for 30-mile zone, an area in which production companies are exempt from having to pay overnight travel expenses when on location.
Interesting. IBM stands for International Business Machines.
Oh, there you go.
I at least had the middle one right.
You did good on that. And you got the ATM right. Let's find out what ABC stands for.
Already been chewed.
American Broadcasting Company.
Oh, that ABC.
Yes. Okay. Question number 5. Can you say hello in 5 languages? If yes, you must prove it.
Okay, let's see. Hola.
Mm-hmm.
Arigato.
That's not hello.
Konnichiwa.
I think that's hello.
Alo.
That could be like any one of 5 languages, 15
but I'm pretty
languages.
sure it's in another language. Fuck. How do you say hello in French? I should know this. Don't
Bonjour.
tell me. God damn it, Heather.
Hey, I took French for so many years in school. I at least remembered one of the words. I wanted to show it off.
What about... Nope, I can't.
Okay, let me give it a shot. Hello?
What? You can't
Okay.
count English?
Yes, I can. It doesn't say one of them can't be your native language.
4. I was able to do 4.
Nice job. Bonjour. Hola. Ciao.
You can't do...
Shalom.
You can't do one I've already done. Oh, then my English one wouldn't count. All right, keep going. It counts.
Fine, I just did 5, and now we're done with those questions, because it's time for my 5 questions.
Are you going to hold it up so I can read it?
Yes.
Okay. Can Heather name 3 people Taylor Swift has dated?
One of the Jonas Brothers?
Maybe.
Yes, no, I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, the short answer is no, I cannot.
Bam.
I do not follow the comings and goings of Taylor Swift.
But I know that a lot of her songs have to do with her breakups. Dan.
Stop. I have to cut it out. We can't pay for that. Okay.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure we have to pay for stuff that we sing. Fun fact, the song Happy Birthday is actually not a royalty-free song. You have to pay for it if you use it.
I've
in
heard
something.
that. I've heard that.
Yeah. So this one time I was watching a low-budget movie, and it was somebody's birthday, and one of the characters says to her, now, I know you don't like it when we sing Happy Birthday, so we'll just do blah, blah. I was like, and I know why that's lines in the movie, because they can't afford to pay for the Happy Birthday song.
That's hilarious. Hey, you know what you should do is you should just bleep out that entire bit of me singing, followed up with we can't use that because we can't pay for it. That'd be hilarious.
That would be great, and I will do that. Thank you for that suggestion.
You're welcome.
You should edit these episodes.
Does Heather have her red receipts turned on?
I am now checking my settings because I might have put myself into a couple of embarrassing situations if it is turned on.
Uh-oh.
No, it's turned on. It's turned on. Turn it
Oh.
off.
So now you got to respond to some. Sorry for responding so late.
No, it's okay. I'll just blame it on the kids.
Perfect.
It's accurate 50% of the time anyway.
Hopefully they don't listen to this podcast.
Yes, hopefully they don't. Good Lord. Unbelievable. I'm so glad that we've played this game and I found out that I am a jackass. Let's go on.
Did Heather watch Game of Thrones?
Every episode.
Well
Every
done.
episode.
I have not seen a single episode.
It's not worth it.
Perfect.
It's not worth it because season 8 was so fucking terrible. They destroyed the entire show.
Yeah. Can Heather name 3 serial killers? I already know that you can.
Yes, I can, and I will.
Do it.
Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, the Zodiac, Jack the Ripper, Eileen Wuornos, Gary Ridgway. Okay, that's enough.
The Night Stalker. By the way, if you haven't seen that
Richard
on Netflix,
Ramirez. I have
should.
seen it. I have seen it. Totally seen it. You know what I love the most about that?
What's that?
An entire neighborhood was like, that's the fucking guy. And they
Yes.
chased him down and beat the crap out of him. Well, they
Yes.
might not have beat the crap out of him, but that's how he was caught. That's my favorite thing. I was
Yep.
like, yes, that is a community coming together.
Well, it's so funny because you see shit like that in movies where like people are like watching the news or like reading the newspaper and they look over and you're like, that's the guy. They're all pointing, that's the guy. And you're
Mhm.
like, that would never happen. That would never happen in
Yeah.
real life. And then like it literally happens.
It does happen. I've heard that in other true crime stories too. I remember one, oh my God, this is a god awful story, but the upshot is this man had this little girl, abducted her, and they were in a restaurant and she had her picture plastered all over the place. Like, have you seen this girl?
Mm-hmm.
And the waitress recognized her and called the police. And they were like, keep them there till we get there. And that's how she was saved.
Nice.
That story, it has a seemingly happy ending. I didn't tell the whole beginning part of it, but many people died horribly. And that's all I'll say about that. Let's
Oh, shit.
let's do this
let's-
here.
Heather, have you ever been arrested?
I have not been arrested. Have you ever been arrested?
I have been detained.
You've been detained? Was it when you were trying to cross back into America from Canada?
No, but
Oh.
it was when I was drunk on my 20th birthday.
Oh, good. That one.
Oh, did I tell you that story?
No. Just meaning that it could have been your 21st and it might have been a better idea, but it was your 20th. Go
Yes,
on.
it was my 20th. So the girl I was dating at the time, I was at Job Corps. So it was my 20th birthday and we went to go to her uncle's house a town over. And he supplied us with alcohol. And so we're drinking.
What a guy.
Yeah. Swell dude. Anyway, so we were drinking and having a good time. So I was out front with my buddy and we're sitting there smoking and it's like dark and the street's not even lit. And there's this car coming around the corner and drunk me thought it'd be funny as hell to like flick my cigarette butt out at this dude's windshield. So it like nails his windshield and sparks just go boosh all over the whole thing. And I was like, oh, damn. And he pulls.
Wait, you were driving?
I was drunk on the side of the road, flicked my cigarette
on the
butt.
side of the road. Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
And so this car like screeches to a halt and pulls over. And I was like, oh, fuck, this guy's going to kick my ass. And so, so this old man gets out and he was like, what the hell was that for? And so I'm just like, oh, fuck, how do I de-escalate this? And I was like, it probably came out more like this. I'm so sorry. It was an accident. But in my mind, I was like, I am so sorry, sir. That was a total accident. I did not see you coming with your blinding headlights. And so I just like try to like play it off like it was an accident. And he goes, well, you seem pretty drunk to me. And I was like, no, sir, I have not been drinking. I am completely sober. And so he's like, I don't believe you. So this is like before cell phones, right? Like we're super popular. So he goes up the neighbor's front walkway up to her door, knocks on the door. And this little old lady answers. He's like, hi, Mrs. So-and-so. I'm Mr. So-and-so from church, and I see you every Sunday. Do you mind if I come into your house and use your phone to call the police? And she said, why, certainly, John, you may come in. And so I was like, oh, fuck. And so, like, I had followed him up the walkway, like, apologizing, like, please, sir, don't do this. Like, my whole life depends on you not doing this. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And so I stepped inside of her house. Like, I stepped over the threshold, 1 foot, second foot. And I said, please, sir, I am so sorry. What I did was stupid. I promise I will never do anything like that again. Please forgive me. Do not call the police. Like, I literally will get kicked out of Job Corps if I get arrested. And he goes, I don't care. And
why didn't you just get out of there? Like, run off, run away, go. Like, why did you hang out?
How about you just listen to the rest of the story?
Okay.
So the little old lady comes up to me and she says, excuse me, young man, could you please leave my house? And I said, I'm so sorry. And I stepped 1 foot out, the other foot out, and then she closed the door. And then I go running down the walkway. And then I ran next door because it's literally the next door neighbor to the uncle's house. And I run inside and I was like, the cops are coming. The cops are coming. The cops got called on us. And so the uncle's like, all right, everybody in the living room, right? So he like shuts the doors, turns off the lights, locks the doors. He's like, okay, motherfuckers, everybody get in that room. Don't fucking talk. Don't make any noises and just chill. So we're like, okay. So we all like pile into this room. He shuts the door, closes the blinds, turns the lights off. And then he goes about his business. So like about 40 minutes goes by and he comes in and he's like, all right, guys, the cops aren't here yet. It was like a small, really small podunk town, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like if the cops haven't come by now, they're not coming at all. So, just nobody go out front. Just if you're going to smoke, go out back. So we're like, cool. So we keep drinking. I go out back and I'm having a cigarette. And this time, there was this other girl. She's a friend of my girlfriend's, right? So she's out there and we're sitting there chatting. And all of a sudden I hear, freeze, Klutz, can I please? And I start laughing and I turn around and there's this cop in the backyard and he's like got his hand up and his hand on his holstered gun. And I went, raised my hands up. And he's like, yeah, you look like the guy we're looking for. And I was like, oh, fuck. So he's like, he gets me up against the wall, like got the hands up on the wall. And he's like, do you have anything in your pockets I need to know about? And I said, I got my wallet. I got a pack of cigarettes. I got a lighter. I think I have something else in there and I'm not sure. I don't know. And he's like, okay. So he starts pulling everything out, right? And he's like, is this your wallet? And I said, yes, sir, it's my wallet. And he says, may I open it to get your ID? And I said, yes, sir, you may open it to get my ID. So he opens it up and he pulls out my driver's license. He's like, is this you? And I said, yes, sir, that's me. He said, okay, good. I am placing you under arrest. And he puts my hands behind my back, cuffs me, and he goes, is that too tight? And I said, no, sir, it's fine. He said, okay, cinch. Clamps them even tighter. I'm like, oh, it's pretty tight. And he's like, okay, reads me my rights. And I'm barefoot. He walks me around the side of the house and I'm like walking over gravel, getting out. And then we come out front and they've got the city police, county police, the sheriff's office, and state patrol.
What the fuck is this old man's fucking problem?
And
like, what is the point of all that?
Heath is a small podunk town. This was probably the highlight of their fucking evening.
God.
So there's 4 cop cars out there. So the guy that arrested me, he's like talking to me. He's like, okay. So he's like, what happened? Like, you go ahead and tell me what happened. He's like, first of all, have you been drinking tonight? And I said, yes, sir, I've been drinking. He says, and how old are you? I'm like, 20 years old. And he's like, okay. How much have you had to drink tonight? I was like, 1 shot of whiskey. And he's like, okay. So he's like, what happened? So, he goes, where did you get the alcohol? And I said, I got some bum in town to buy it for me. So he's like, okay. He's like, does the owner of the house know that you've been drinking? I said, no, sir. We were off over there at the lake and we were drinking down there. So he's like, okay. So then he asked me what happened. So I was like, I was outside smoking a cigarette. I thought it would be hilarious to throw my cigarette butt out at this dude. It hit his windshield. What I did was dumb. I was obviously not thinking, yada, yada, yada. And he goes, okay, well, you just chill here for a moment. And let me go talk to my colleagues, right? So he sets me in the back of the car and I'm sitting there, I'm all fucking cuffed and shit. And then here comes the uncle, comes out of the house. He happens to be buddies with one of the cops, right? So they're sitting there talking and laughing and having a jolly good time. And So state patrol comes up and he's like, all right, listen here, shithead. Something along those lines, right? He didn't say shithead, but he
What
might
the
as well have.
hell?
And he goes,
Yeah.
he's like, all right, we're going to let you go tonight. He's like, if you so much as fart wrong, we're going to come get your ass and arrest you for real. And I said, sir, you bet your ass it will not fart wrong. And so he goes, no, you bet your ass you won't fart wrong. And so I was
Did this conversation actually happen?
yes, this literally happened. And so he goes, just so you know, jobby, because I was a Job Corps, so they didn't like, the locals don't like the Job Corps students because they're known for being a little rowdy and causing problems. She's like, listen here, jobby. He's like, you go back to Job Corps and you tell them what happened tonight. He's like, and I'm going to put a warrant out for your arrest. He's like, we're letting you go tonight, but there will be a warrant out for your arrest. And so I was like,
what?
Okay. So he lets me go, and then whatever. So the next day, I'm like, it's Sunday the next day, right? So I'm like at Job Corps, like freaking out, like, what do I do? What do I do? Right? Monday rolls around. I go to class and I go to my instructor and I was like, hey, we'll call him Bill. Hey, Bill, can I talk to you for a second? And he's like, sure, what's up? And I was like, in private. And he's like, okay. So we go into his office and I told him what happened. He's like, so you said they're putting a warrant out for my arrest, but they let me go? And he's like, what? It's like, that doesn't sound right. He's like, I tell you what. He's like, after class today, I will go check on that and find out and let you know tomorrow. He's like, but as far as we're concerned, this conversation never happened. And I said, okay, no worries. So anyways, next day he came. He's like, yeah, they were just trying to scare you. You're good. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
So,
good.
yeah.
I was going to say that doesn't make any sense. We're going to let you go, but there's a warrant out for your arrest.
Right.
It's like, it's not how it happens. The fact that you would get arrested for flicking a cigarette butt at the windshield of a car is a little weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like overkill in a major way.
So what they were going to arrest me for, the charges that they were bringing against me was burglary 1. Because
you stepped into the woman's house.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't even the fact that I flicked the cigarette butt at her. And so one of the things they told me is like, yeah, she's not pressing charges on you, but we're going to press charges on you. And I was like, okay, that sounds kind of messed up, but sure, I will roll with that, I guess. In my mind, that happened.
Yeah.
But
ugh, man.
Wait, did we do your last card?
Yes, we did them all.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Perfect.
Our customary advice.
I got a great one.
Go for it.
Don't flick cigarette butts at people's cars. You might get arrested.
That's great advice. Great advice. Don't do that. Also, okay, I'll also say this. When you don't know somebody and they do something that pisses you off, try to take a step back and realize that sometimes you do stupid stuff too, and that maybe they're not that bad of a person.
It's true.
And you can just chill out a little bit about it.
Just chillax.
Relax. Take it easy. Goodbye.
I really thought you were going to start singing